Liebe Leute, wir haben den Bericht bekommen aus dem Reformkomitee der Regierung und des Parlaments. Offensichtlich hat der Chief Justice, der Vorsitzende des Supreme Courts, Orso Hawker, davon Wind bekommen. Also ich meine, das wird ja öffentlich auch angekündigt und dergleichen mehr. Der hat da bestimmt was zu sagen. The administration had been working day and night on the overwhelming amount of issues that were facing the country. The department sent several documents which required my signature so they could start working on the new decisions that were taken. After I signed dozens of them, I closed my eyes to relax for a moment. Another long day. Even though I really wished to leave the palace for the day, Lucian had earlier told me that the Chief Justice wanted to speak to me. We planned to meet in my office in 30 minutes. I waited for him, wondering what subject he would raise. Take a moment to relax. I stretch out my arms and look out the window. Thousands of shimmering lights in the Hosod skyline were mesmerizing. Suddenly I heard a knock on the door. It was Lucian. Good evening, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you too. I'm sorry that I couldn't explain the situation to you in detail earlier, sir. The Chief Justice insisted on seeing you this evening. I do not know what he has to say, but it will probably be about the new constitution. He will be coming shortly with Judge Mr. Garaki. Heron. To the meeting. He served as the Minister of Justice and Law from 45 to 49. Military career in the King's Army. Due to his marriage with the sister of General Luderin, he was implicated in the military coup of 27. But investigations were dropped during Takin Sol's term as president. Aha. He was a strong supporter of Takin Sol and the establishment and became one of the leading members of the USP. Previously served as the Speaker of the Assembly and advisor to President Takin Sol. In 45 he was appointed Minister of Justice and Law. Evil Alfonso tried to isolate him within the party. In the same year he was appointed a justice to the Supreme Court. He became infamous for his obstructionist methods against President Alfonso and his policies. Also auch wieder so ein Nationalkonservativer. I think he's here to test the waters. I agree, they will probably try to get you to their side. We should... There were 3 knocks at the door. Lucian checked his watch. He looked rather worried. Livia opened the doors. Chief Justice Orso Hawker and Judge Heron Garasi entered the room. Good evening, Mr. President. It's great to see you. Evening. Welcome, Justice Garasi, Chief Justice Hawker. Good to see you indeed. Also gestured at the sofa in the office. May I? Please. We all took our seats on the 2 opposite sofas and made ourselves comfortable. How were your first couple of months, Mr. President? I hope you are faring well. Also ein paar Monate sind wir schon im Amt. Wie viel? Unbekannt. It's very busy. It was a rough start. I'm doing well. Let's just get to the point. It's very busy, but I'm doing good. It will only get busier, yet I think you're doing a good job so far. Considering all that's happening around us, with the shootings near the palace and soldiers on our borders. He let out a deep sigh. It is a troubling time, yeah, as always. We appreciate your concern. So, you probably know why we are here. Please enlighten us. We know you are working on a new constitution. The Supreme Court does not approve of this. With all due respect, the constitution needs to be updated, sir. I'm sure you are well aware of the public demand and our circumstances. Is that so? I see that you are the one who is not aware of our actual circumstances. You want to make a weaker constitution in the midst of problems from both inside and outside. Even if your proposal passes the Assembly, I will make sure it will not pass the Supreme Court. That much is clear. Aber ihr habt das doch noch überhaupt nicht gesehen. Eine Drohung gegen den, dass wir die Mehrheit da kriegen, machen wir mal nicht. Das kann nur zu Reaktionen führen. Wir werden eine Lösung finden. Glaube ich nicht. Sie sind nur hergekommen, um uns zu bedrohen. Nee, das erste ergibt Sinn. You haven't even seen the proposal yet, Mr. Hawker. Isn't it too soon to be against it? Do you think I live under a rock, Mr. President? I know what's going on. Yet you, Mr. President, seem to be only partially informed about the current situation. Please let us explain the reasons of our stance. Please explain. We are protecting the Constitution because it works, Mr. President. It is efficient and it gives you the authority to lead the nation with swift decisions. Sordland has more important problems and threats that we should face right now instead of nitpicking about some paragraphs of the Constitution. We have a potential war within our borders. Also signaled Heron with his hand to let him speak instead. Mr. President, I know that you are a busy man, so I will make this quick. We all know the Swedish security forces found stashes of Romburgian weaponry in the hideouts of Bluish separatists. KA-74s are roaming inside Sordland at this moment. As much as Rumburg poses a direct threat, now it's clear that they are also intervening in our country and weaponizing our minorities against us. It's not unprecedented to think that the Blutes will start their terror again with their new toys. Not to mention the fights that broke out between the left and the right wing after the shooting of Bernard Circas. Communists are rising with the support of United Contana. The chaos is imminent for Sordland. And sadly we don't see the administration taking the necessary precautions. You said you will not focus on military during your term. Under current circumstances, that cannot be tolerated at any cost. Aha. Ja, gut, das sind halt die nationalistischen Eliten, die quasi in diesem militarisierten Diktatursystem groß geworden sind oder beteiligt waren. The court has no jurisdiction, ja. We are taking the necessary steps. I did promise that, but the circumstances have changed. Nö. You should be more careful with your words. Das ist zu drastisch. Also, eins stimmt schon mal. Das ist keine Angelegenheit für den Supreme Court. Allerdings kann das auch als Angriff verstanden werden. Ich würde mal sagen 2. Wir kümmern uns um alles. Kein Grund zur Sorge. We hope that our police force and our military is adequately funded during these times of conflict. But regardless of that, are you also aware that the armed Bluish separatists have direct connections with the Workers' Party of Bludia? The Workers' Party is a democratic party. They are not the same. Darüber hatten wir uns schon informiert. They may claim they have no ties with the separatists, but most of their members used to be part of them before they formed the Workers' Party of Bludia. How about the name, Mr. President? It is not the Workers' Party of Sordland, is it? As far as I'm aware, there's no nation called Bludia around here. What is this all about? The only reason they are not in the assembly is because of the electoral threshold. They have gotten quite big. They are clearly getting outside help, and their connection to the paramilitary Bludish force cannot be denied. And all of a sudden, the reformists are trying to decrease the electoral threshold so that the Bludish separatists can be legitimized in the assembly to achieve their aims of independence. Ach, jetzt haben die Sorge, dass da hinten hier sich das Bergia quasi unabhängig wird, ja. Dass ja zumindest der Westteil erobert wurde von Velen. Den abgenommen wurde. Glauben Sie wirklich, dass das ist, was Mr. Richter erreichen will? I suspect his intentions are grander, but I wish the only issues were the Bludish terrorists and Rumburg. The reformists suggested changes would also bring the communists, who are backed by United Quintana, into the assembly. Do you see the pattern yet? Also, die haben irgendwas gegen Demokratie. Das kann man schon mal sagen. Es gibt keinen Beweis. Es gibt keinen Beweis. Ich bin kein Verschwörungstheoretiker. Ja. Sagen Sie, dass die Reformisten für ausländische Mächte arbeiten? Es gibt keinen Beweis, oder? 1 oder 3? 1 oder 3. Es gibt keinen Beweis oder ein bisschen deutlicher. Verschwörungstheorien haben hier keinen Platz. Was würdet ihr sagen? Die 1. Keine Verschwörungstheorien. Ja, finde ich charmant. Machen wir. This is not a conspiracy theory. Haven't you been briefed by your security team? Maybe you should suspect them as well. Genau, alle sind verdächtig. We should take the necessary measures against communist and Bludish plots, as well as increasing our military budget against the possible conflict with Rumburg. And of course not fall into the traps of the reformists by listening to their demands. They are clearly plotting to weaken the president and our whole administration in order to exploit the situation. Which brings us to some very important information that we have. It's definitely something you need to hear, and it can change absolutely everything. With all due respect, Mr. President, I think this is getting slightly ridiculous, my delusion. Ja, irgendwie schon, ne? Aber ich will schon gerne noch hören, was er jetzt meint, was alles verändern würde. The person in question is Mr. Franz Richter himself, the leader of the reformists. We have enough information to infer that he has ties with Arcasia. Wait, what? Jetzt verstehe ich die Argumentation nicht mehr. Arcasia is aggressively growing their influence around the world, and now we have Mr. Richter coming up with these ridiculous demands for a new constitution amidst a chaotic period in Sordland. All the pieces seem to fit perfectly. That is why the Supreme Court will be doing what it takes to stop these reforms and preserve the constitution. How would you know that Mr. Richter has ties to Arcasia? We all know he has been in Arcasia many times. Dann ist ja klar. Because it's been documented. But what would you think if he has been making hidden flights to the country? He was hiding flights to Arcasia? He was. He has been spotted in a hotel in Acacia last year, where they held the Conference on Economic Development in Volatile Regions. Right around that time, he started to influence the masses into believing that our constitution is the reason for everything bad. His trip was not documented, nor was he an official guest of the conference. We believe that he had a meeting with President Walker behind closed doors. Walker Texas Ranger? Nee, White Walker. Ja, okay, das ist einfach der Präsident. I also have a couple more photos of him that were taken in Acacia in different cities. One is from a couple months back. Again, none of it is documented. He also attended another event in Lesbia last week. The Acadian Minister of Foreign Affairs was there too. Ja, so ein Zufall aber auch. If this is true, this is big. Ach, Leute. Wie kann es sein, dass das nicht dokumentiert ist? Oder wie haben sie das erfahren? Na gut, die greifen auf das alte Militär- und Spionagesystem zurück, schätze ich mal. Sie sind ja halt nun mal die alte Garde. Wie kann es sein, dass das alles nicht dokumentiert ist? We don't know. Even if he used a private plane, we would be able to get the information of his flights. That means he has people helping them from inside. Many solists were already following his leads for quite some time. I cannot give away their identities, but I can give you the evidence. He handed me a small file. It contained official documents from the Swedish border guard, with highlighted dates that showed no trace of Franz Richter's name. Was ist das für ein Beweis? There were clear photos of him that were taken in the conference in Acacia, as well as remarks by lesbian Acadian citizens who claim to have seen him with Acadian businessmen. There was also an official transcript of one of his speeches where he claimed to be in Benfi on the days of the conference in Acacia, where he was spotted. Lucian skimmed through the documents with skepticism, which slowly turned into surprise. These seem to be real. Of course they are real. These seem to suggest that Acacia is behind the reformists. Their demands will only benefit Acacia. Warum? They want us to have a weaker administration while we face all these threats. Soll das so eine wir bringen die Freiheit-Mission werden für die oder was? This is clearly a plot against Sordland. I bet Rumbok is part of their plan too. This cannot be a coincidence that they are weaponizing our minorities against us around the same time. Kann schon, ne? Now you understand the reasons of our current stance and also our suspicions about your advisors, who clearly have not given you this vital information. Lucian gave him a sharp look. We appreciate the information, Mr. Hawker, but I advise against jumping to conclusions right away. We still need to check the information. There is not much to think or check. This is clearly an emergency. In such cases, the Constitution gives the President the right to use his emergency powers. If we work together, you can be sure that the Supreme Court will not block your Declaration of Emergency. Ja, das wollen sie halt, ne? Wie spielen wir das mal durch? Was sollte das denn bringen? Wenn Acacia die Reformisten unterstützt. Und aber die Unruhen eher links gerichtet sind. Also natürlich links, also Kommunisten gegen Faschisten ja hier, aber die ja gleichzeitig, also der Hawker und hier sein Fuzzi, wie heißt der andere Typ noch? Garassi. Die sind der Meinung ja, dass die Kommunisten die Bedrohung sind. Die Kommunisten und die Bluder, die blutischen Menschen, die aber auch ja kommunistisch sind, sagen wir mal. Sozialistisch, wie auch immer. Wie soll denn das zusammenpassen? Warum sollte Acacia dafür sorgen, dass hier eine linke Regierung an die Macht kommt? Die wird doch sofort sich dem östlichen Verteidigungsbündnis anschließen. Das Einzige, was sozusagen dann Folge dieser Verschwörungstheorie wäre oder logisch Sinn ergeben würde, dass Acacia dann kommt und sagt, ja, wir müssen das natürlich verhindern und quasi Demokratie exportiert, aber das ergibt doch überhaupt keinen Sinn. Es ergibt doch auch keinen Sinn, die Notfallsgesetzgebung beziehungsweise Notfallsgesetze sind es ja gar nicht mal recht, ist einfach nur quasi der Ausnahmezustand. Also was innenpolitische Sicherheitsmaßnahmen angeht, denen das nicht mehr so leicht umgesetzt werden kann. Was soll denn das ändern an der politischen Lage? Ja, aber was bringt denn das Emergency-Recht, wenn es das nicht mehr gibt? Welchen Vorteil hat Acacia davon? Das ist mir nicht klar. Aus der Perspektive des Supreme Courts oder der alten Garde führt das dazu, dass die Stabilität potenziell noch weiter abnimmt, weil man in Krisensituationen nicht sofort handeln kann, sondern die Unterstützung des Parlaments dafür braucht. Aber der Zusammenhang ergibt sich mir irgendwie nicht. Es widerspricht sich. I'm too skeptical. I will have to decline, denke ich mal. You want me to declare emergency. Ich meine, man könnte ihn halt antesten, ne? Also vielleicht sagt er noch irgendwie was. Warum, wieso? Das Problem ist, dass wir das ja dann auch nicht kontrollieren können, weil die alte Garde steckt ja überall in diesen Strukturen drin, ne? In der Polizei, der Gendarmerie und der Armee. Und wenn dann quasi diese erweiterten Rechte ausgerufen werden, wenn die Staatsgewalt nicht, also quasi die üblichen bürgerlichen Rechte übertreten kann, werden die das benutzen, um in Bergia gegen die blutische Bevölkerung vorzugehen und gegen die rote Jugend überall. Auf jeden Fall. Ich glaube, das ist der einzige Grund, der dahinter steckt. 2 schadet nicht. Ja, dann fragen wir ihn mal, ne? Gucken wir mal, was er zu sagen hat. Of course, we cannot wait for the processes of the assembly to take care of these issues. We must exercise your presidential powers for a fast and effective solution, which means you might need to suspend parts of the Constitution to give more authority to our security forces to deal with these issues. Wo es tatsächlich doch quasi, es ist nicht nur der Ausnahmezustand, oder der Kriegszustand, wie auch immer, sondern es ist tatsächlich Notfallgesetzgebung und kann die Verfassung damit aushebeln. We must officially investigate Mr. Richter as well. You can devise a strong security decree if you can base it on the Articles 57 and 58, which give the President the right to suspend parts of the Constitution to deal with national security threats. You can directly bypass the Assembly in such a situation. The only thing we need is the Supreme Court to allow the emergency to be declared. Sir, I think that is going a bit too far. We shouldn't escalate so fast. Why don't we talk in private? Only the two of us. Ja, jetzt will uns hier belatschern. We can devise a plan together. I know how we can use the Constitution to our advantage. It would be more efficient if Mr. Galat and Mr. Garassi leave the room before we discuss. I advise against it, sagt Lucian. I'm sorry to say that we won't be cooperating. Regardless, I'll be proceeding with the reforms. Nee, mitmachen werde ich da auch nicht. Mitmachen werde ich da auch nicht. Die Reformen werden durchgesetzt. Even though you are aware of our national security threats. You are making a big mistake, Mr. President. We will not allow you to succeed. Enough! Ach so. Ach so. Hättest du dir den Plan trotzdem noch angehört? Naja. Ich glaube, das war mehr oder weniger offensichtlich jetzt mittlerweile. I think it's about time to end this meeting. Oder mal auf den Tisch kloppen. Ich glaube, das wird sie noch, also ich weiß ja nicht, wo das hinführt, aber ich glaube, das wird sie noch mehr verstimmen. I think it's about time to end this meeting. Wir haben alles gesagt, wir haben die Informationen entgegengenommen, wir werden das prüfen, aber wir sind nicht bereit, den Ausnahmezustand zu verhängen. Thank you for having us, Mr. President. Have a good evening. They both left the room without saying anything else. That was not good. They clearly tried to threaten you. Ja, Überraschung, Überraschung. How dare they talk to me like that? I'm not scared. We need to take care of them. Uh-oh. Nee, wir müssen sicherstellen, dass die Reformen den Supreme Court passieren. Also, we'll be doing whatever it takes to damage you. We need to be careful. There are still many old Guard sympathizers in our party. We can't let them divide our party. And he will definitely try. After a short evaluation of the situation on our hands, Lucian left me in the presidential office. It was obvious that the old Guards would be my main rivals in the near future. Und die Zeitung schreibt: Hawker in Maroon Palace. Chief Justice also Hawker has been spotted entering the Maroon Palace. Our sources are intrigued by the timing of this visit that is happening right after the increased conversations about the so-called democratic reforms. Historically, Mr. Hawker usually does not frequent the palace unless for official business, and this was certainly an unplanned visit. Clearly, there must be something he wants out of this. Our speculation is that this has something to do with the reforms. More to come later. Okay, wir können fortfahren. Das wird den Turn Nummer 2 beenden. Und ich bin sehr gespannt, wie es weitergeht. So viele Widerstände, gegen die wir uns durchsetzen müssen. Ich glaube übrigens, die Wirtschaft ist leicht runtergegangen, ne? Durch die Entscheidung hier. Naja.